It seems everybody wants to take life to the max. Hi everybody, I'm Uncle Max, and welcome to the Life to the Max show. Hi everybody, Max here from Life to the Max. Welcome to our first actual episode. We made that intro video, and the day we made it was the same day that a guy, the YouTube channel, it's called LDSPrepper. I guess he's well, I was going to call him Mormon, but they don't like that anymore. He's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's their official name. And just want to remind people that's been that for 150, 200 years, something like that. Anyhow, he was called to be a pastor, bishop, minister, something of a young adult flock up there at a university or something. And so he stopped doing a lot of his videos, and they just made it a big announcement now that they're going to be starting back up again. And he has a lot of great videos, and he had a lot of great gardening stuff that was down for a while, but he just announced that he's bringing it back up. We'll introduce you to some of that, but I knew that he had a really great show and does a lot of great research, really good stuff. And I've seen a couple of his classes at different preparedness fairs and expos around the Intermountain West. He travels around and does a lot of shows and a lot of seminars and classes and stuff, and he really knows his stuff. I'm just really impressed with him. So I had a chance at at a camp that I went to where I was able to interview him before some other things came up, or I can't remember. But my sister reminded me, while people are looking for LDSPrepper stuff now that he's back up and running his YouTube channel a lot, might as well put those up. And I thought that would be a good idea. That will help me decide which of all the great content that I have to start with. So this is a segment, this is a camp. So we're going to call this segment the Happy Camper, because I want people to be campers, expert campers, and to be happy about it and not miserable. Because if you figure out how to camp and you figure out how to camp well, then you're 90% prepared for almost any disaster. You know, something happens, instead of going around, oh crap, what are we going to do? We're going to die. You're going to go, cool, let's schedule camping adventure. And it's excitement. It's the same energy, but it's a positive angle on the same energy rather than a negative, stressful energy. And it's exciting instead of super stressful. And so I want people to have that approach to life, to look at things in a positive way. So this camp, what is this camp? It's a camp of a bunch of Christian people that realize that, you know what, it seems like you can be Muslim or anything else, but if you're a Christian, then you get attacked a lot. And there might be some persecution. A lot of Christians are being killed. In fact, it's the number one group in the world that people get killed or martyred for being as a Christian. So if things get ugly in the future, we might need to be able to evacuate. Or let's just say that there's a fire coming, and you have 30 minutes to get out of your house. And if you had set up a really cool camping setup in an enclosed trailer with some of your emergency food supplies and tools and other things, then you could literally just back up with your, what I would call your hunting, scouting, camping / bug out vehicle, and you could just literally back up your trailer, hook it up, and go. Or better yet, have your trailer at your sister's house. That way, all right, a gigantic sinkhole opens up and swallows your neighborhood. Well, your spare house, your glamping camp setup, is at your sister's house, and hers is at your house. So you both have lost half, but you still have the other half, and you can go over and get your spare house and her property and set it up in her backyard and live very nicely. And you'll see some of these camping segments, and the Happy Camper is going to be, you're going to be amazed. Hot and cold running water in the middle of a field. This is just neat stuff. So, so this segment happens to be of LDSPrepper's tent setup and some of the things that they have set up for their nice camping adventures, and also a neighbor whose tent was set up next to theirs, and they had an oven that they were actually cooking in. And so we're going to show you a little bit of that, and then we're going to skip over and then show you the tour of their tent a little bit. And then we'll show you an interview that I had with LDSPrepper, and then maybe some of his classes. And but yeah, some cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Let's see what we got here. The first part is just a neighbor's tent. She's got this nice shade cloth. I wonder where they find this stuff. Oh, she reinforced it with duct tape. Probably had to do that on both sides. It would make it extra strong. Guy wires. She's got shade cloth is really helpful because it dramatically cuts the amount of sunlight comes to, but still have some sun. And it just, that extra shade makes it so you don't burn, you don't get sunburned, but also you don't roast underneath there, so it keeps it nice and cool. And you can put shade cloth over an existing tent, and you'll see that on a number of Happy Camper segments. This nice cloth with the dirt and sand and water goes through. She's got the camp kitchen, really nice cooler, stage, wash and sink. Yeah, I like the shade cloth, and I need to look into. These kind of tables are kind of nice. Where did we go? A friend of mine on a recent whaling trip that we did over in Utah at one of their Mighty 5 national parks. It was a Canyonlands National Park. We went over to the Dollhouse region and we drove over there and then hiked over to the Confluence overlook. It was beautiful. So I got a bunch of cool segments on that, and including teaching people how to drive on certain four-wheel drive obstacles. Like, what do you do if you have an obstacle like this? How do you pick a line to get over it? How do you approach the right approach angle? Do you just hit up and bump out to it, or do you keep your momentum going a little bit, or do you nuzzle? We're going to teach a lot of great four-wheel driving techniques too, because I want people to get their SUVs, learn how to operate them, learn how to use that 4-low, and to go out and have fun on dirt trails and even rocky trails, and that way they can have a blast camping and get it to more secluded areas that other people can't get to in their little Subarus or their little crossovers, which are not really, SUVs or off-road very capable very well. But anyhow, we'll keep going. But anyhow, one of my friends gave me one of these, and I fixed it up. It wasn't working very well, and he just donated it to my cause. I cleaned it up, repaired it, and it's a great little tool or a table that folds up really small, but then you have a nice rigid table. Here's our next neighbor.
We're just sitting around here waiting for some bread to bake.
Oh, okay. This is Sue, LDSPrepper's wife, and you'll see her on their big live thing that happened Saturday, the 28th of May is when or March 2020. That's when we're getting these up, and that's when they made their big announcement. So you can go check that out. It's a wonderful lady, very knowledgeable. She's learned some really cool stuff. This their daughter-in-law Heidi actually interviewed her about a firearms course that she had attended, because she wanted to be able to defend herself and her kids if her husband was not around. And she said it was very helpful, dramatically improved her confidence level to be able to safely protect herself and her kids. You need training. If you're going to get firearms, you need training. But anyhow, this is a cool thing called a Stoven. Well, so you found an oven to cook it in. Fantastic. Yeah. Can only rise so far before you know it, the tent will be bursting.
Are you familiar with these?
I've seen them. I think I even have a kind of an older version of that.
Okay, yeah.
But I need to pull it out and actually do it. Okay, what they're talking about is she was baking bread. She was letting it rise, and she needed to find an oven too soon, because as it continues to rise, it's going to eventually rise over the bread pan and become this giant mushroom-shaped muffin top kind of a thing. And so they found a neighbor that had this. This is a rocket stove. There's a whole bunch of things on rocket stoves. We're going to share a bunch of things on and why they're really handy to have and efficient. This is a person designed this more heavy-duty version of it. And then this is called a Stoven. And it's an oven that captures the heat from the rocket stove. The hot air goes around the outer compartment, and then the inner compartment has the baking compartment, and there's a little thermometer on there so you can see. So they were just checking the bread there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this.
Kevin makes these big kind of heavy duty rocket stoves.
Okay. The Stoven on top. And
then you can just put the, because I've had one of these for a couple years.
Yeah.
But never used it. It's just been sitting next to my camp stove.
Yeah.
But you hook it on this, and he's got a collar that you just slip it on, and then you can use it as a kind of more of a portable oven. And exactly doing this.
There you go.
A bunch of bread.
You could even cook off the top if you needed to, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. So when you take this off, you have it's a stovetop. And so
no, I'm wondering, can you not just capture heat off the top?
You probably could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You just take your flue off and put
something on there, so you're baking at the same time as you're cooking on the top.
Yeah, because that's just going away.
And all this, look at this. You're just cleaning up the forest of little twigs and stuff, and you're not chopping down trees or anything. And look at how the overgrowth and all the dead stuff that's across the way. But
yeah, but you could.
So you're. Oh yeah, and kids, don't do this at home without a glove. I'm just saying your fuel would be free, and this could work at a home situation where you needed to you know, I've been surprised at how in the spring there's this, you know, sometimes a county will drop off a dumpster and say, here, you got 24 hours to throw your debris in here. And everyone's throwing away all this stuff that could be perfect fuel for this kind of stove. And instead of, you know, throwing it into a landfill or something like that.
Yeah. I should get a commission.
And that's just rebar there.
Yeah, and then you just put your skillet up there.
There you go.
Cool.
A walker or something
like
that kind of
that.
goes down and maybe keeps it in there even more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she liked my idea. That's cool. It's fun swapping ideas and comparing notes with preparedness-minded people because, as I say, together we're all smarter than we are individually.
It's falling, huh? I thought it was right below 2.
Oh, yeah, it creates that chimney effect and it draws more, so you might want to. But I'm wondering if you couldn't put that on top of the thing.
Yeah. You probably could. It wasn't all the way in because
Yeah.
I couldn't get it in.
Doesn't it go in with the small side in, the corrugated? Isn't that the part that goes in? That side should go in first.
Oh, perhaps, but he's got it cut for...
Oh, the angle. Okay.
I don't know. Just like that. You're probably right.
So that chimney effect, the longer and the hotter it is, it starts the hot air rising, and it pulls the hot air up, and so it draws cool air in over across the flame and causes the flame to get hotter. So it's a self-perpetuating little furnace, so you don't have to have billows blowing on it. But we'll show you some other options like that, but that's still pretty cool. So are these little shelters? I haven't seen these. I like that they're strong enough to actually hold the solar shower on the inside, because mine is very not that way.
From Amazon, really.
Oh yeah?
They're just little camp
What
showers.
did you, is that what you looked for? Does the term camp shower and this came up as an option?
Mm-hmm.
Or?
Yeah, and then we just zip tied them because the wind was getting
So you
a little
anchor
crazy.
it down, yeah. It definitely got anchored. Of course, you got all these guy line gussets, so you could easily. Oh, absolutely tie those down. And what I would suggest is, I don't know if you can see this. There we are. This is a 550 cord, but I've got this little flashlight on my phone. Let me see if you can tell. I don't know if you can tell. There, see how that lights up? It's retroreflective threads in there so that it lights up at night when somebody's headlamp shines on it. And the beauty of that is when you are tying up your tent or whatever, you have to have a guy line or whatever to hold that section of tent in place, because there's this great saying back in the day. It's called it's a story called I Can Sleep When the Wind Blows, and it's a fun story. I'll actually read that story to you at some point, but it's all about I batten everything down properly so that I can sleep comfortably at night, even if the wind's blowing, and I don't freak out and wake up thinking, oh my gosh, what, is everything safe? If you just batten things down as a regular course, then you don't have to worry about when the wind comes along and blows things. But anyhow, this is bright blaze orange, and it has that retroreflective strip in there. I even have some that I'll show you how to get that has glow in the dark thread in there as well, so it glows at night. And that way, even if you don't have a headlamp and you're walking around at night, you can see there's a little line of glowy stuff. Oh, that's a rope on the tent. Okay, I definitely won't trip over that. So the goal is to not trip over the thing at night, or to have it blow over if the wind starts blowing. So that little guideline that was, or that little tab where you can tie it down, I definitely suggest you do that as a course of action. Just do it. It's the right thing to do. You never know when a little cloud might pop up and drop a lot of water, creating a microburst, and those winds could be devastating. So be prepared for that.
Oh yeah, that's
anchor
true.
down
I'm sure
really
there's
well.
some rope in there they pack with it.
And what I found is the AstroTurf carpet works really well on the bottom.
Okay.
And it's a little thinner and easier to roll up. But I also put some on the front of every tent, and I use just the cheap little. Okay. This is a shower, obviously, but you can also set up with a porta potty in there. But when you're showering in it, you want something that you're standing up on top of, so you're not standing in the mud and the dirt. And that's what I was telling them. If you get some AstroTurf, you can buy it at the big box, like Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that, or the local hardware store. It's kind of like fake grass, but it's kind of like a fake carpet. You can buy it in brown, or you can buy it in green, and you can buy some really cool looking, real grass looking like stuff as well, but just get the thin stuff. And water, when I shower, the water goes right through it, and if it's sand underneath, it just kind of makes that sand all solid and clumped together. And then when you peel that up, it's like none of it comes off on your little mat, your little AstroTurf mat that you put down. And I even have a long segment that's just long enough for me. It's kind of like the shape of an air mattress for a sleeping bag, but I have that rolled up into a small roll, and I tuck it in the side of my car or my full drive rig. So if I need to get underneath and check a brake line, or see if there's a rock that got stuck underneath my vehicle, or just make sure everything's working, I can get underneath there. I can lie down on that piece of AstroTurf. It's kind of like a piece of carpet, or I mean as a mat, a work mat, and it just keeps me from lying in the dirt or the snow or the mud or whatever. And so that's kind of a handy thing. And also, you can take that AstroTurf and get a big section and get these cheap, inexpensive tent stakes from Harbor Freight, and you anchor it down right in front of the opening of your big tent. And that way, as people are walking up, it's kind of like a really large, just like a doormat kind of a thing. But the sand comes off your feet into this grass, and most of it falls through the grass and doesn't make the grass super dirty, so that now you don't have all that sand to then be tracked into your tent. And it's very handy. We'll talk about ways of keeping your tent clean, and talk a little bit more about that, or I'll show you some pictures of that when I find them. But air, they have this little wood thing. It's a little bit bigger. I don't know if it's going to dry, rot, and split out at some point, but that AstroTurf might hold up a little bit better, and the store's a lot smaller and it's a lot lighter. Little small stakes to stake it down, and that way I just wipe off my feet before going in tent, and I don't have any
Oh,
I already said that. Overflow on the sand coming in and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is this what is this setup you have in here? Is this?
Oh, we just we're playing around. We've got a couple of
yeah.
elements.
So they're hooked to the solar panels, and then it just heats the water.
Yeah, it's just water heating
but
elements.
It's not really.
It's just been so cloudy today. It
Yeah.
stopped. It started out at 50 degrees, but then you just
It says
heat up
71,
these elements.
but that's like room temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, one guy. If you haven't been around, one guy actually has a really cool tube plastic that fits in these really.
Yeah,
thin
I think that's
panels.
what Kevin's doing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we had these up to 150 degrees a couple days ago, but if you don't get, constant
So
sunlight.
you're planning
Yeah.
we'll shower when it sun's out, kids.
Right.
Well, and this finally, we've had this out for the past couple days, but same issue, in the sun, because they're
Mine's
black,
been on
so
the
they're
hood of my
supposed
car, and I just took my thermal laser detector,
Uh-huh.
and
Alright.
it was 120
to. Okay,
degrees.
a hood of
Oh,
the
there you
car.
go.
That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
If
Yeah.
it's inside, you only hang that once you
No,
heated
no,
it
no.
up.
I did.
Yeah.
I just barely did. We
Okay.
had it over there by the trailer. I had it against the trailer,
Yeah.
and it wasn't doing much. But the hood of the car probably has more.
Especially when it's
direct.
angled kind of in the
Yeah.
afternoon
Because
sun.
even this morning it was angled to it,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, it
but
should.
it's-
Yeah, I just leave mine and it heats up there
Yeah.
really well. What is this machine behind it then?
I think it's just a solar pump too. So it's
a
also
Coleman.
a pump. Yeah, and it has a. Oh.
Oh, it's a
it runs-
propane shower heater. Oh,
No.
'cause there's a
is it
propane
Oh, I
canister
guess
in
so.
it.
Yeah. So it can.
So
set
you
the
could
spigot
actually
out there
do a
and
hot
use
and cold
that.
shower with a propane canister and have instant on.
Right. So it's got a couple different.
Well, I guess anywhere Coleman's product is sold, I guess.
They're noticing
Do you remember
things that
how
I
much that
notice. That's why I point them out.
Oh, my husband bought it, so I don't even remember.
Alright. Is this, I presume he's your husband?
No,
No,
it's
just
friend
a
of
neighbor?
ours. My husband.
All right. So you got your solar panel and you're working at keeping the power up. And all right, well, I'll have to. Do you have any cool stuff? Could you show me how you have it set up?
Well, he'd be happy to, I think.
Okay.
He's in this tent. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'm just
Is that the
doing the
dome?
tour, the tour
I'll
of
go in a
tents.
second.
Yeah,
Just,
he's got, and we're on the.
Oh, so,
We got the wall tent next to it.
okay.
Is that-
So this isn't yours?
Mm-mm.
Okay. But you have the nice shower.
Yeah, we're.
Oh, so.
We got the wall tent.
All right. Just as a thought reminder, you probably want to put that somewhere safe. If this cord is intact and it has complete integrity, then it's not going to be a problem being in the water or out, in the moisture. But you're going to want to protect that. I guess they would probably run around when their tent, of a storm looked like it was coming in and winds were kicking up. They might quickly try to tie this down or quickly try to find a place to put that dry. What I'd sometimes do is I put that up on a higher position and then water, put something waterproof over it. So if any water does come down, it goes over that, and it doesn't matter if it hits this cord. It just matters if it gets inside these components in here and causes a problem. So one of those things about, I can sleep when the wind blows type of thing.
Next to it.
Okay, so this isn't yours? Okay. But you have the nice shower.
Yeah, we're kind
We'll
of
hit
sharing
350 for a
everything.
second.
That's perfect. We're kind of sharing everything, and that's the way a neighborhood, I would think, should work together. You're not prepared till your neighborhood's prepared. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of wonderful things about how to get your neighborhood organized, and now that this worldwide thing is coming on, we're starting to realize, you know what, we really ought to. We really were caught with our pantry down, and we really don't have the food resources or other things. If this was the power outage thing, we'd be in a much more world of hurt. And right now it's kind of easy because we still go to the store and get food. We can still talk to people on a Zoom or other FaceTime type of things. What if we didn't have all that? We're going to talk about backup communications. We're going to talk about ways to stay warm, ways to store food, ways to cook food. We're going to have so many wonderful, fun things. So stay tuned for all those things. But being able to have stuff to share with others and then they share with you, together we're all better. It's kind of a team approach, and you really need to kind of work on that. If you have a stove and an oven and they have a portable shower, hey, I'll let you cook on my oven if you let me, in your shower, and you're doing favors and you're really working together, and that creates really positive community and camaraderie and a lot of help with each other. But don't be the one that's just giving everything out and people are just taking. What's that one about that story about the chicken? Can you help me gather the grain? No. Can you help me sort the grain and thrash it? No. Can you help me grind the grain? No. Can you help me bake the bread? No. Can you help me with this? No. Oh, it's too bad. I wanted you to help me eat the bread, but you can't help. Oh well, So you have to have some kind of reciprocal thing. Do it friendly, but I have no problem helping you if you're willing to help me with this. You're fine. Help me with that, aren't you? And if they say no, I can't. Well, then they'll probably go off and mooch off with somebody else rather than try to be helpful and reciprocate. So work on that. Well, that's how you do it,
So I think maybe you just have to move it around to get like an accurate reading, but it's probably 350 or 400 in there.
So that thermometer on the front is not working as... Yeah, you might need to figure out if you can calibrate it. It's one of those things where how do I know if my air gauge is working? How do I know if this is really, so many pounds per square inch? I have a friend, and that's his whole job, is calibrating equipment, and he actually tested some things out. So I'll see if I can talk to my friend Eric. Accurately as we'd hope.
Suddenly it heated up.
This little fan, it's a battery-operated fan. We're going to do a segment on that. That's one of the preps that my brother and sister-in-law, they were Christian missionaries over in Puerto Rico working with the poor. There's 70% of the country's on welfare. Anyhow, they were there during 2 hurricanes, and they were primed and ready to be able to help others. And they said one of the things they wish they had was a battery-operated fan before, because power's down, really muggy. And if they had a little fan to keep a breeze on them, it would have made sleeping and other things more comfortable. But with this little battery-operated fan, they're kind of creating a little billows effect to get that oven up to temperature where they want it to be.
Yeah.
Now that the sun's out.
Should we take it
Yeah, I'm feeling it. Is this your setup?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so.
Oh, wow. It's actually kind of cool in here. Yeah.
Wow, it's probably been cool everywhere until that sun came out, but it hasn't had time to heat up.
This is a really cool setup. It was one of those geometric dome or half domes, and then they have a coating or a tint or vinyl or whatever that goes over it. It's you can buy these as kits, and we'll see if we can find the source for you if you're interested in this style of tint. But I've got a lot of tint suppliers, and you'll see a lot of really cool tint options. But this is one that I like because, one, it's just super bright, and it's white instead of green or whatever, and allows a lot of natural light in. And but anyhow, check this out.
In here, because it's usually a little warmer here than outside.
Oh, kind of. You have ways of bending it though, right? Is that openings? So that just...
I mean, there's a vent there, and there's a vent there, and then...
You kind of almost need one that you can kind of pop open, let the hot air go up and draw the cool air in.
Yeah.
It would almost be that chimney effect for
come up and even if you had to, one of these up there, that you could crawl up on a ladder and
Yeah, I know one guy that does a swamp cooler in his house. He just has a hot air vent out the top, and he puts a cloth across the window, and it swamp cools and cools. That will be an interesting thing to try.
Mm-hmm.
So is this a... I'll try to find a link to that one, because that's actually kind of a cool idea. They just had a box fan that was blowing up through a chimney type thing that went up through the top of his attic and then went out. And that hot sun creating heat up there, hot air rises, and it drew cool air in through the window that he had a cloth over, and he had this little tiny pump that circulated this little tube and had water coming down, and it cooled the cloth and cooled the house down. It was way cooler in the inside than it was outside. So it's kind of cool. I'll find a link for that. I'll put it up here somewhere. That's a solar generator kind of a thing?
Yeah, I've got a little solar generator with some panels there I'm just more messing around, experimenting.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is all about.
Keeping the fridge going and
have you been able to?
Oh yeah.
So far so good? You're able to freeze a little ice along the way too?
I don't do necessarily ice, but I've got a hot roast there in the freezer.
Yeah, it keeps it cool enough to...
And it's
a great little option, because a lot of times if you're buying in bulk and you want to buy a larger can that is much less expensive than a whole bunch of small littler cans, if you have a setup like this that's standalone that could run off solar panels, then you have the ability to have a little fridge like this. Or there's these little cooler size fridges that you can have in your vehicle when you go expedition or overland camping, and we'll show you some of those. And they can freeze. You can have a freezer compartment and a fridge, or both of them fridge or both of them freezer, but that way you can put your leftovers in there. If you have a big can of, say, marinara sauce, and one night you do spaghetti, and the next night you think, well, we're going to have 2 nights using this marinara sauce up, so it's not sitting in this little fridge taking up a lot of space. And you can get value by getting it much less expensive when you buy it in the number 10 can versus smaller bottles or jars or something like that. That's an option. Save you money. I'm all about saving money. I'm not cheap. I'm thrifty, frugal, and downright cheap.
cool enough to, it freezes on the edge, and then
keeps it.
Sometimes if it's been a cloudy day, like I think Sunday or Monday was kind of cloudy, I just had to turn off the freeze. I just unplugged it at night.
Yeah. And you can also use the microwave too.
In a pinch.
And you've got the drone, which is fun. I need to get me one. Popcorn, real quick in a microwave. Doesn't draw a ton, or you could just heat up something. If you have a leftovers and you can heat up a piece of pizza that you baked, you might have a few pieces in that fridge, and that's a quick snack. You could heat up some stuff pretty darn fast in the microwave without taking a ton of power for a long period of time. So we'll show you some options with that. So stay tuned for that. And you just utilize your camera so you can see what's being seen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun. I got to do that. I'm doing a little show called Life to the Max, and it's all about provident living, self-reliance, law of attraction, abundance, less scarcity,
Exactly.
You got to be able to hug a tree and be in touch with nature, but then know exactly what caliber to shoot through the tree to kill the bad guy.
Exactly.
To rape your daughter or wife or something. And
right.
So you have to have both. You have to have both. You can't just be one-sided. So you need to have a balance. We're going to do a lot of yin and a little yang. It's supposed to be yin-yang, but it's actually pronounced yang. You need to have that softer feminine energy side, more holistic meditation, natural healing, natural whole, organic. And you need the hardcore stuff like the harsh drugs of medical science where they need to save your life, or the civil defense or self-defense. You might need to shoo some bad guys away if they're coming at you with a bunch of machetes or guns and they're trying to kill you. You need to be able to stop that and make them realize, okay, maybe I don't want to go there. I'll go find some easy target somewhere. You need to have a balance. I often joke, you think of Amish SWAT team. You need to have both yin and yang. So we're going to talk about the yin and yang or yin and yang of most everything, so we have a good balance of that. So it's nice and spacious in here.
Yeah.
Can you hang hammocks from these and it's strong enough?
I'm sure you can. I saw somebody and I brought one, but I don't think I have the ambition to do it, that put up a trampoline pad and then just strapped it with some tie-down
Really?
straps. Yeah.
Really? So you could have the loft for the kids to go up and play
Exactly.
in, and it's probably strong enough to hold
In
up.
fact, I told somebody, yeah, I brought a trampoline pad for a loft, and suddenly it turned into, oh, I hear these guys have, is this the 2-story one? People were thinking this was like a double-decker, and I was like, I told somebody I was thinking of putting a trampoline pad up there to make a loft. Like, oh, I thought this came with a loft, and
Oh, no,
it's
but the
got
fact
2
that you could
levels,
actually put
and
one
I
in
was
there.
like,
Stay tuned for some other people that have these type of tents. I helped a friend this last camp take theirs down and try to help them organize it, but they had some really fun things. They literally held, they slept in hammocks the whole time. They didn't have a big bed on the ground. They had all these hammocks kind of surrounding the outer perimeter, so they had the main common area, and everyone could kind of lie in their hammocks. And the hammocks are, I'm going to do a whole bunch of segments on hammocks just to give you some ideas on the versatility of hammocks. I have the kind that I really prefer. Then there are some other kinds. I just picked up a cheap one. I have some really inexpensive military green hammocks that I'll share with you. 25 plus things you can do with a traditional net hammock. There's some real good versatility to that. So I'm going to share a bunch of cool segments on that. But there's some really good versatility to some of those. So stay tuned for that. But anyhow, you can see a lot of fun. They even have a telescope for night classes, and people want to check out fun constellations. They have a fan in here if they need it. All that light, they got the good book over here. A bunch of good fun stuff.
no, I think
Is it an octagonal one, or is it a rectangular one that they were thinking of doing?
I just bought a circle. It's just a circle
circular
one.
one?
And I was just gonna rig it up more just to, but I don't know how much that would affect. I mean, obviously in the summer I don't care, but like in winter, the airflow. Because once you heat up over here, it just circulates the air.
Oh, yeah.
That's why these are a lot more efficient. You've got the passive heating window and stuff.
So you wouldn't want to put that in the south, the west-facing sun, because that's where you bake it.
Not in this time of year now.
Yeah, but you could. Could you just take one of those panels off and swap it over here when whether it gets, for the south exposure for sun?
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
How hard is it to pick this thing up and just rotate it around?
Oh,
A little bit challenging.
to just pick it up and rotate it, I don't.
Versus swap out
I don't
panels.
think you would want to.
But these panels are swappable though, or do they?
Well,
only
you
go
can
on a certain
unzip
way?
this, but I mean that's how you put it together. It's these 3 pieces: bottom piece, this clear piece, and then the top piece, and it all zips
Okay.
together, and then you Velcro it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, you could unzip the bottom pieces, rotate that around, and then put it so you have the south-facing sun.
Exactly. I would, instead of taking up the whole frame, because I think all these bars themselves weigh probably 600 pounds.
So you definitely need a good trailer and
Wow.
a vehicle that can get it here. Or
But it's heavy duty. It'll hold up.
Do you have?
Might hold up a lot better than an average tent would, perhaps. This guy, you can see on the other side through his back window, has theirs anchored down really nicely, and you need to do that. You really ought to do that with every tent. I guess in order for this to be freestanding, it has to have those in order for it to be up like that. But just good stuff.
Screen that would cover that for privacy?
No, I mean I'm sure you could rig up, and
Little privacy curtains and
in
stuff
fact,
like that.
probably think we'd get some hooks and then some rope, and then it's kind of the same thing you do with the curtains here, and just probably find some way to.
Oh, you
blow
could
them up.
probably just put some kind of a PVC pipe or something, and just have the
Exactly.
cloth.
Just have a curtain.
The cloth would go from here, and it'll all hang down. And all you have to do is slide it that way,
Yeah.
and slide it this way, and you could have.
That was my biggest concern, is privacy. I didn't want them to forget that their window's open and they're changing the clothes. And, what I think husbands and wives should be doing is having a little fun, flirtatious, a little grabbing your wife's derriere or vice versa. When you're going by, but you don't want to do that in public. You want to okay, make sure none of the kids are looking, or and you don't want to do a little fun, flirtatious, little married naughtiness that's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that unless you're married, and then you get married, and then none of that happens. No, once you get married, it's you have your fun and your flirtation and keep things kind of
keep the sparks going and keep the fun spontaneity going. But I just don't want you accidentally forgetting that window's there and people looking through their tent and noticing the neighbors through the back window. Oh my goodness, what are they doing? Shoot. You could have a nice privacy curtain in without encroaching too much.
5 points and those 5 points.
Yeah. And then you can just slide it closed. That way you have a little privacy.
Yeah.
And close up the rest if you just need total privacy.
Exactly.
Which at some point you would hope to have some if you're.
Yeah. For now, we just kind of come. I mean, they're in front of us, and we know them. And we just come over change.
Yeah.
Nobody's seeing us.
There you go. Little nightstand, folding table. They've got their cots and their pads and everything, so they're good still. All right. Well, there's a nice little organizer. Some of these are free hanging. You can put them in campers, pop-up campers, which I really want to get as a nice pop-up camper option as well. But a great place to put everything. It's important to have a place for everything, and then everything will go in its place. If people don't know where to put its stuff, that's when they're tempted to do like what my room looks like here. And I'll be honest, I struggle with organization. There's a store out here in the Intermountain West. Anytime I do one of my cross the Intermountain West travels, I always go through Utah. They call themselves the Crossroads of the West, and they really are. That's where a lot of pioneers that didn't go to Utah, they're going to California, Oregon. A lot of them would stop at that big establishment there in Utah. There's this one place on Interstate 15. It's the north-south corridor through their state. And it's a place north of Salt Lake near Ogden, I guess, and it's called Smith & Edwards, and it's a destination. It's a really cool store. I'll try to put a segment up there on tour or something and show you what they have. They have a lot of cool stuff. And call it the Country Boy store, but they had this sign out there because they used to have all this World War II surplus for decades. I think the county finally made them clean it all up, and they decided to get rid of all of the old stuff. But they have a big sign out there that says, "We have anything you want if we can find it," and that's what I am. And but if it's not organized, there's this great statement by a psychiatrist, psychology type guy. Dr. Lund is his name. But anyhow, he says, all frustration comes from unmet expectation. And when you have something and you cannot find it, you expect to be able to put your hands on the item that you have, the resources you have, and if you can't find it, that is so exasperating. It's like, I know I have this. If I could just get it, then I could take care of this problem. But if you can't find it, that is super stressful. So I'm going to bring in experts in all the areas where I kind of really sucky at, where I have, those are my limitations. I'm going to share with you all my strengths, and you know what a lot of those are from my intro video, but a lot of my limitations I'm going to bring experts in to teach, and not just me, but all the other people out there that have struggled with the same problem. And if you're one of those experts, drop me a line, and maybe we'll have you on as a guest, and you can teach us some segments in the areas where we need help. One of them is how to organize things. There's one lady that does a class just on, people hire her just to help them organize their fridge, help her organize their fridge. And if you have a really good organized fridge and zones and everything goes back where it's supposed to, and instead of everyone just finding, I just need a spot to put this away and so I can be done with it. And we've got to prevent that by having some organization, so there's a place for everything, and people don't just get, I don't want to deal with this, so let's just put the cord there and walk away, and then everything else gets piled on top of it. Before you know it, you don't have your cord when you need it. So got to have a system. So I'm going to share that. There's one more thing I want to point out here real quick. Thank you so much.
No problem. Come over whenever you want.
Okay. This is probably their kitchen sink or their bathroom sink or whatever. Just a place to wash up. And how well do we know about washing up? Man, who else's hands are like super dry because we're actually finally washing like we're supposed to all along. But they got to find a system that works. Or some lotion. In fact, I actually did find some, and we're going to be sharing that. We're going to be sharing with you some fantastic products, cleaning products that are super good about cleaning, but without all the harsh chemicals. And they're good at sanitizing without all the harsh chemicals. The cloths, they're really good about cleaning and without the chemicals, but also trapping and stopping germs so they don't transfer on to anything else. Some real cool technology. When I saw those, I thought, that'd be perfect for your supply of emergency supplies to have on hand. Fantastic.
That looks like they got a sink here. We'll show you some other cool options. Looks like they just kind of made a table with a soap dispenser and a bucket with a stainless steel bin and a foot pump, and they only pump out exactly what they need. They don't have to worry about some kid turning it on and all their water draining out. We're going to show you lots of cool options when it comes to that. So stay tuned for lots of really cool things coming down the pike. And for a while I said, is it pike or pipe? And it's kind of both. Pike was coming down the turnpike, as in you don't know what's the road ahead and it's like traffic or danger coming down the road, or, you know, the pipeline coming down the pipeline. So either one of those, the pike or the pipe, whatever it's coming down, there's a lot of cool things coming down the pike, and we will share a lot of those cool ideas with you. This one is a good segment. I'm just gonna wrap it up. If I have the opportunity to add that segment on the, what was it? The cordage. I'll see if I can find the person who has that really, really cool selection of 550 cord. We'll explain what 550 cord is, and we're going to be sharing with you a zillion things and cool things you can do with it. But we're going to have a segment called the Naughty Corner, and also a place on our website called Cool Finds, things that I've found that pertain to provident living, self-reliance, emergency supplies, types of things that would be really good camping supplies, really cool things that pertain to those kind of falls within that umbrella. And we'll have a whole section on our website. And if it works out that, and if it resonates with you and it sounds like something you would like, then you can order it from the link from our website, and hopefully if we help them sell a lot, they'll maybe send some funds our way to help us with our website, so we can put that money back into hiring people to help us. I have a lot of content, a lot of editing that needs to be done. I'd love to get a better camera than just my phone, because I just do things quick and dirty. And there's not going to be anything polished about what we're doing. It's just getting the good information out. It is, what's the word? Inferior videography, superior information. So stay tuned for some really good information. And let's say you're a preparedness-minded person and you think you have all these great ideas. Well, then come watch mine and tell me where I did it wrong. But I dare you not to learn something, because I guarantee you're going to learn something every time. I call it mining for gems or nuggets of gold. You may have to clean a lot of the dirt out of the way until you get down to the pay dirt, or you get those gems, and they'll be worth it, because I know you'll find some cool things, and areas where I might be kind of close. When you think, hey, Max didn't know about this, let him know about that, or I'll drop my line and we'll share that with him, and then we can let everybody know about that really cool thing. That is the latest and greatest. I'm always looking for the latest and greatest, and I want everyone to know about those. So stay tuned for a lot of fun stuff. We'll have a Naughty Corner segment. Our first one will be where you can get the 550 cord from one of those suppliers, and then we'll put that up on our Cool Finds, and then we'll go to town with some fun stuff. Stay tuned. Cool stuff coming down. Till later, Max out.